Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Bold Patents Show. I'm JD Hoovner, your host. We're here every week, 9 a.m. Pacific and noon on the East Coast, welcoming live questions from Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Today we're going to be talking with a special guest, someone who I've known for years in the patent field, but he's not an attorney. At least I don't think he is. Maybe he is. We'll find out. And it's about patent insurance. Okay, we're not here typically talking about insurance, and people don't think about that right away. So I'm excited to share with you some options with that. So my trusty co-host is here, Matt Colseth. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
What's up, man? How was your weekend?
It was good. It was good. Just spring cleaning, right? Just
spring cleaning.
Yep.
Great tie into last week. Well, good. I'm glad you took care of some of that. I was out in New York, beautiful part of the world.
Oh yeah.
I've only been there once before, but the weather was just perfect. So it was really nice to get away.
You catch any shows?
Yeah, we did. We saw the Book of Mormon, which was awesome. Yeah, super funny. Little on the vulgar side. I don't know. Anyway, no. I do not take any children to that. Anyway, really fun. We had a great time, and the wedding was beautiful. And I'm asking how your weekend was. It's already Wednesday. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. So we're on to the week, almost end of April. The topic for today is patents and insurance. So I want to make sure we bring on our guest here. Have you worked with anybody on the trademark side for getting insurance for trademarks?
No.
Okay.
Not as big of a thing, obviously.
Okay, this will be really good then. I'm going to bring on Matt Werner. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, JD? How you doing, Matt?
Doing good over here, and thank you for coming on our show. So we got two Matts here. So Matt Werner from IPISC, intellectual property insurance. I'm going to flop on the last two syllables, two letters there. Walk us through a little bit about your company. We're going to get into a lot of things, but what you guys help inventors and business owners with. What do these insurance policies do?
Yeah. Well, first off, I heard you. Full disclosure, I'm not an attorney.
Right.
I do have an MBA. I do have come from a business background, but I lead up business development for IPISC. And I'm also out of New York. So next time you come on over,
okay.
we need to meet on up. Go grab some coffee or I don't know if I'll go see the Book of Mormon with you, but it sounded like a good time.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of bagels out there. So we have a coffee and a bagel. There's a ton of that.
Oh man, you are not spoiled for options there.
Yeah, for sure.
So anywho, back to what we do. So IPISC is so we're an MGA, which is a managed general agency out of Kentucky, and we work with the syndicates out of Lloyd's. So we write on A-strong paper, and what we do is we provide insurance to enable inventors and companies to have ease of mind that their products of the mind are insured. And so our company was founded 30 years ago by Mr. Bob Fletcher, who was a lifelong patent attorney. He worked at Standard Oil. He worked at GE. And in the 80s, he discovered a need for inventors to be able to leverage their intellectual property. Intellectual property litigation is very expensive. And when I'm not just talking about patents, I'm talking about patents, copyrights, trademarks, even trade secret. It's an expensive endeavor. And so he went to Lloyd's, he went to the markets, and he said, can I create an insurance company that will enable us to underwrite this type of risk? So the long story short, got it approved and started with a plaintiff policy. And a plaintiff policy allows a company to schedule their intellectual property to go after infringers in the marketplace. So it's a proactive policy that you put on your IP, whether it be a patent or trademark. And if you see an infringer in the marketplace, you can use insurance to get them to stop. And so that was groundbreaking at the time. And it actually has been very groundbreaking for many years. And we're seeing some more people move into this space. But as the 30 plus years have moved on, we've expanded our product portfolio to not only include enforcement, but also defense. And defense works just the reverse. If someone with a patent, copyright, trademark accuses you of infringing on your intellectual property, then the defense policy will defend your product or service. And we also find that a lot of people come to us on the defense side for indemnification purposes. So companies to win contracts, to win vendor agreements, supply agreements, are required to indemnify. And so we're able to provide policies to allow that indemnification to not only provide protection for the product or service, but also to extend that to the person that's requesting the indemnification. So our current policies, we can offer as low as $100,000. And we have the authority to write up to $5 million, and we can always seek additional approval. We write worldwide. We've placed risks in Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, even the UK, all over the United States. And we've seen pretty much every risk from every industry. I mean, people always say, Matt, so what kind of industry should I be looking out for as I go and refer your service? Any, from clothing to manufacturing goods to pharmaceuticals, you name it. We've seen it all. And everyone comes to us, and we can underwrite all these risks. There's very, very little risks that we won't underwrite. Now, granted, the terms might not necessarily be the best, but we do have the appetite to try to take on any type of risk that's out there, subject to underwriting approval, of course.
This is still groundbreaking, I think, in terms of, still feeling new for a lot of people who are thinking about, oh yeah, I'm never going to be able to, enforce my patent against one of the big guys if they just decide to bully me around. And I love having this as the great recently, because I know you, Matt, what is possible to be able to have in your arsenal, the ability to go up against an infringer. Let's just go through those examples one by one. And so you saw on the infringement side, you're talking, if you have a patent or you have a trademark and you can get an insurance policy to afford to hire litigation counsel, right? It's in a way, it's like litigation financing. And you probably look at it differently, but it's a policy based around your specific IP that your company looks at, evaluates, and then makes an offer, a custom offer or policy, premium offer based on the IP. Can you walk through that a little bit? How you offer that, or how you come to a negotiation?
Sure. So I'll break it down. I'll start from the enforcement side, and then I'll move over to the defense side, because they're both a little unique in how they operate. So on the enforcement side, first off, I do want to mention that all of our underwriters are patent attorneys. And so we look at the risk not only from an actuarial standpoint, but we have the expertise to look at it from the legal standpoint as well. Although we do not cover legal risks, I do want to point out that we are purely insurability. When we look at the risk, we look at insurability risk. So that's the actual business risk. That's the actual catastrophic financial loss that a company could undertake if they get into, God forbid, lengthy litigation. And so from an enforcement standpoint, the process is pretty simple. You come to me, or a person comes to me and they say, hey, Matt, I've got this patent, I've got this trademark. I want to place enforcement coverage on it. Can you tell me what it would look like? And so at first brush, what I'm going to do is I can either do it myself, or I'm going to take it to one of my patent attorney underwriters, and I'll say, hey, can you help me understand what this risk is and maybe what an enforcement policy on this patent might look like? For a single patent, we can get as low as less than 1% rate on line. And what that means is, when I say rate on line, that is the percentage of policy limits for a policy year. That's what the premium would be. So if it's less than 1% and you're looking at $100,000, you're looking at less than $1,000 a year to get enforcement coverage.
That's amazing.
Now, $100,000.
Yeah.
Now, $100,000 isn't going to carry you a long way through litigation, but simply holding the policy has a lot of hidden benefits. You don't have to disclose what your limits are. You could just tell someone that you have a policy, leave it at that. And oftentimes we found that simply holding the policy helps facilitate early negotiations, favorable settlements. It puts the person in a position of relative power to be able to better negotiate in good faith.
That's cool. Let's do trademark example. All right. So we've got companies selling skateboards. They're a skateboard company, and they're seeing, and they're just getting started, and they're maybe taking the wise approach. They think that what they've come up with is pretty unique, and they're looking to go to market, but they haven't yet. They come to you, they get like your minimum policy of $100,000, and then they go to market, and then they do see infringers pop up, wherever. How does that process start? They haven't made much revenue yet, but they're seeing, maybe small infringers pop up. Do they hire their own counsel, and then that counsel then gets in touch with you to pay their bills? How does that work? Can you take me one step further?
So two things pop up. Number one, if there's a lot of like small infringers, the policy probably is better served for a major infringer that's trying to steal market share. Small infringers like the whack-a-mole, what we can do is we can send early intervention letters that are kind of like warning letters, but they're not, because as I mentioned, we cover insurability risk. So those are included with the policy and on the enforcement side. And we'll send them as a kind of reminder to these infringers that they are potentially infringing on someone that has an insurance policy.
So you'll actually send the letters for the
they're not warning letters. They don't hold legal weight.
Okay.
They're simply putting them on notice saying that someone has an insurance policy and there's a chance that they could be infringing. So
got it.
That's
cool. That's a nice part.
Yeah. So we send that on behalf of our insureds for the enforcement side. So that is one strategy to try to get them to stop. If it doesn't stop, then the next step is, if they want to move forward, well, number one, the infringement has to have occurred after the policy bound. And I want to stress this. Any infringement that occurred, that known or unknown, before the policy was bound, will be excluded. This is insurance, and we do exclude pre-existing events. And so that would be considered a pre-existing event. And so long as the infringement occurred after the policy was bound, then what they do is they get a favorable infringement opinion from a third-party attorney. Once that attorney says, yep, 51% certainty, or greater certainty that this person's infringing, that triggers the policy. Then you could use the policy to go after the infringer, and that'll pay for litigation costs. It'll pay for the associated costs during the course of litigation. And the beautiful thing is that the insured has the option to retain their own counsel and use this policy, so long as the retaining counsel meets criteria around our billing guidelines, litigation experience, because litigation in the intellectual property space is oftentimes a bluffing game. And so having the experience to have gone through litigation before is very crucial to understand the motions of how litigation works. And so we want someone that, has been to the plate before, has batted the ball, that knows the game. And other than that, adhere to our billing guidelines. Oh, the other thing is they can't be the same attorney that prosecuted the intellectual property. Okay. That's a big one. But other than that, they can choose their own counsel, or they can have us recommend counsel for a potential discount in premium.
That's cool. Big highlight there is, if you're going to get insurance, get it early, like almost immediately upon grant. I think I saw in your notes and in our previous conversations, is it true you're not able to get insurance while the rights are pending?
You can get insurance while the rights are pending.
You can. Okay, reverse that. So you can. How does that look, and what is that? Well, what changes? I don't know, pricing wise, or has anything changed? I mean, if you try to do a warning letter, hey, I'm gonna get rights, I might get this issued. How does that work?
Well, obviously, you can't use the policy until the intellectual property has been issued. But as you're waiting, infringement can still occur, and we recognize that. So how that works is, so you got a patent pending, or it's in the application stage. And this is more for patents, because trademarks, are quicker to issue. But you get the patents.
Not lately though. He's been telling us for like 7 months, 8 months, maybe more.
But it used to be that way for sure.
Well, I'm a little behind the power curve. Well, then this applies to trademarks too. Then you get the policy. You schedule the pending intellectual property, whether it be a trademark or patent. And we recognize you can't use it until the intellectual property has been issued. And so how that works is you chug along. You see infringement occur after you bound the policy, but you can't do anything yet. As soon as the intellectual property issues, you can retro back to when the infringement occurred, so long as it occurred after the policy was bound, and you can use the insurance to go after them. And we recognize that you can't use it, so we do give a slight discounting premium for any intellectual property that has not been issued yet.
Okay, that's a lot of information. So ideally, super ideally, you would get that policy issued immediately upon application submittal. soon as there's a red application number, is that the earliest point?
If I had my druthers, I would recommend every small inventor that goes and gets a patent to think about doing this. At least think about doing it as soon as they put in their application.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could see infringement happening while it's, and that would be excluded if you wait until it gets granted. All those infringements, and there's probably a lot of heavy lifting for your patent attorney team to go research, and interesting and super informative, even if it's like, well, this has been infringed, by these companies already. It's okay. It's just information. Anyway, I'm getting a little offside, but do you provide that as part of the evaluation to see whether you're going to offer insurance? Do you provide that? You know what I mean? Is there a way to get that information, let's just say for free, to find out who's infringing? How does that work?
Well, so to get an enforcement policy does not cost anything. So to get an enforcement policy is free. The underwriting does take a little bit of time, but not as long as it takes on the defense side. So on the enforcement side we'll take a look, and we're looking at past litigation. We're looking to see what's out there in the marketplace from a product and service perspective, or from a potential litigation perspective. And we'll establish exclusions up front. And so those exclusions are what we feel are the big red flags. We're not going to cover them. But the exclusions, I mean, if a company's been, squeaky clean, not past litigation, the chances of there being exclusions are probably pretty low. There's always a chance they could be running into a risky area. But, and so we say, we feel like this particular company is pretty, there's a high chance there's going to be an exclusion. One area we see a lot of exclusions is if someone was working in a very litigious industry. Maybe they worked for a company in the past. They spun off. They created their own intellectual property. We might exclude the past company just because there could be an unacceptable insurability risk for litigation there. But it all depends. I'm not saying that we will. I'm just saying that's a potential area where there might be an exclusion on the enforcement side. That's
amazing. Okay. Well, we're just scratching the surface. We've already got about 18 minutes into our program here. Matt, I've put in in the comments, mwarner@patentinsurance.com. And so if anyone wants to, Matt has agreed to allow us to share that email address with everybody. So please do contact him with any follow-up questions. And of course, visit their website, ipisc.com. I'll have him hang on. I want you to stay. We're going to do our Bold Bite segment here coming up.
Perfect.
I want to let Matt Kolstad, I know you're on mute. Did you have any questions or follow-ups for Matt Warner?
No.
Before we go to our next segment?
Yeah, this is really impressive. I mean, this is something that I was completely blinded to. I didn't know this really exists. I've heard JD talk about this in the past, but to get your take on it and to hear more about it, and especially from a trademark perspective, we've had, over the years, several clients who could have really benefited from this particular service. So yeah, it's fascinating. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. And I always tell people that our competition isn't another insurance company that offers this or litigation financing. It's awareness. A lot of people just don't know about this. And so that's why I'm here, preaching the gospel.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, hang on. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to jump to our Bold Bite segment. If anyone that's on watching, I see we have 6 live viewers, and thank you for those 2 likes, by the way. Live questions will be prioritized. If you have anything that's on your mind, shoot us a question. We will get to that right away. Let's take it away with the Shark Tank segment here. Share screen. And you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. We're going to roll. This is called the Skinny Mirror.
The Skinny Mirror design offers a subtle, believable slimming reflection designed to help you feel good about your body. This is the first model. This retails for $165.
Belinda,
Is the
you
mirror
don't have a
actually
patent on
that
this
skinny?
technology. Anybody can order that piece of glass.
Exactly. It is, but it's the intention and the branding of the product.
Okay, I get it. So you're
But I
trying
don't
to
think
tell
you
me
have
that
those.
your
You have
brand,
those.
Skinny Mirror, is worth $1 million today?
I've seen the potential. Have you taken a look at yourself in the mirror?
Look,
Come on,
I do
don't
in
be
reality.
afraid. All you gotta do is.
I will not be part of this sham because that's what.
Okay, that's fine.
Look, you can smile all you want, but the truth is you're lying to people. I'm out, but I also forbid any other shark in investing in this.
There it is. Skinny mirror. All right. Would you guys buy one of those?
I mean, I could use one, but I'm confident with who I am. No, that's that's interesting to say the least.
It is. I had to laugh. It is good. I mean, they do let some people in there that are kind of, a little on the edge. I think it's interesting to sort of, try to market a product that, as Kevin O'Leary points out, anyone could put a piece of glass, reflective mirror on a case. It's not patented. There's nothing necessarily unique about what's built. But I think what's cool is that she had enough gusto to just do that, right? A mirror, but brand it, right? Try to brand it and pitch it. And maybe she's made some sales. I think it's interesting. Although she got trashed, kind of got laughed at in a way by the sharks. It's cool that you can actually go to market. You don't have to have patents. You don't need to get worried about, oh my gosh, someone will rip it off. You can have a compelling story and try to make a brand of it. But I don't think I'd be buying one. It's just like, oh my gosh, what is this? What do I really look like?
Do you know are they still in business at all? I mean, I just looked at their trademark registration. It was abandoned. It was canceled back in 2020. So I don't know if they're still in business or not.
No, I don't know. I didn't do any follow-ups. It was just a short clip I found this morning.
They so just so the viewers at home are aware, like when you file a trademark with the USPTO, in the application and the registration, it'll list if you have a trademark counsel assigned to the trademark. And in this particular case, there's no attorney of record. So either the owner filed it herself or someone that they know filed it, but there's no trademark attorney. And we often see that a lot of times if you're filing trademarks yourself without an attorney, oftentimes those trademarks go abandoned because people forget to renew them. So I don't know if that's the case here or not, but it was not renewed and it is no longer registrable.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people believed in it. I mean, she actually raised $750,000 on Kickstarter.
Wow.
And they sell for, okay, guess what the high-end version of her mirror sold for?
300.
$675.
Whoa. You better look really skinny.
So they have different frames, right? Handmade, the intricate design. But it's just that I think what made it unique was this perception, right? That this positive mental attitude, which can definitely impact the way you might feel. I thought that was fascinating. So just wanted to show that. From a patent perspective, one way you could look at that, even though what it is structurally is not perhaps unique, there are ways to think about design patents. And I always like emphasizing design patents. They sometimes are forgotten. Yes, even though what it does and what it performs and the functionality may not be unique, it's a mirror. What it looks like can be. And while I haven't seen her other, more ornate, maybe more higher scale products, she could have some unique features in the way that it looks. Perhaps the little edges are beveled, have a nice, sharp point to them. Maybe the mirror itself is some sort of a curve or imprint. Something small like that could be novel enough, right, to actually be patentable on the design side. So if you have a product like that and you want to try to carve a way to say, how am I unique? How can I be a differentiator in the market? Don't forget about design patents and get a hold of us at Bold Patents to have a look at it. Thank you. Actually, we had a comment from our YouTube out there. Look at her on roller skates. I bet that's not Ekta, maybe her daughter. You're welcome. Yeah, we love doing this. So yeah, bring on any questions you've got, or maybe that your daughter has. There's no question too simple or whatever. We love to have questions, so bring them on.
What do we always say, JD? There's no such thing as dumb questions, just dumb answers.
Speak for yourself, Matt. No, just kidding. I think that's true. We do our best here. Okay, so for action takers, people that are interested, want to learn about patent insurance, trademark insurance. Maybe you have a product that's not quite as cheesy as the skinny mirror, and you want to really move forward and you're serious about it, click that link right there. This is our weekly live. It's an appointment directly on our advisors' calendars. Free appointment. For taking action, you're going to get a copy of this book right here, Bold Ideas, The Inventor's Guide to Patents. It'll be a free PDF in your inbox. We have 5 minutes left, you guys. We could talk about kind of the next level on insurance, other products to get. or we could do a couple of questions that came in over the week. What are you thinking, Matt?
Oh, I'm up for whatever.
Okay.
I mean, and I guess, Matt, do you think we missed anything, or what are your thoughts?
Well, the only thing I would say is on that particular product, if she looks to get some sales, maybe a defense policy might make sense. Although she doesn't own the intellectual property, someone out there might own a trademark that looks like Skinny Mirror, or they might think that they own the patent on that type of technology. And so defense policy, would protect her product against claims of infringement. And that would make sense as she gains more revenue. As soon as I heard the $750,000 on Kickstarter, I was like, that's money.
So,
Yeah.
Matt, I mean, this kind of raises another question. So let's say she doesn't have a patent on that, and her, JD believes that she can't actually register that as a patent. Can she still get litigation insurance on her product without a patent?
On the defense side, absolutely. We cover products and services. And so someone comes to her and says, you're infringing on my IP. It doesn't matter whether that person's right or wrong. It's going to cost money to get you to that decision or get you to a favorable settlement to get away from that lengthy litigation. And so the defense policy will defend her against claims of litigation or claims of infringement. And so, and that could be on the trademark side or it could be on the patent side.
That's really huge. I'm gonna just say it out loud again so I remember it. Okay, so for some of those potential clients that we meet with and we do a study with an patentability opinion on and say, you know what, this is too close to something that's already been out there. We don't think we can get you a patent on it, or even if we could, the margin would be so thin. We love you. We're proud of you. Go get them. You can still go to market. We should introduce them to you, Matt Werner, because they may be able to take a policy out. And be at ease, not being worried about getting sued by infringers or by people that have patents, right? Being sued for infringement. Is that right?
Right. Well, we're always going to take a look at what the risk is. And so, if they are operating in a risky space, obviously the terms are going to reflect that. But
yeah,
as I mentioned before, if it's not blatant infringement, we're typically able to work a blatant or willful infringement and they truly believe that they're not infringing and they're taking steps to not infringe, then we can work with them to craft a policy that will give them that peace of mind to defend themselves against claims of infringement.
Excellent.
Hey, Matt, a follow-up question to you. So let's say I work with a client on the trademark side. We do our standard opinion letter, right? Looking at the risks that we're aware of in, the registration database and just in the market in general.
Mm-hmm.
If the client then comes to you and says, hey, I want to, get some either, litigation insurance or whatever, will they be required to provide you our opinion?
Not necessarily. So how it works is we either take for our defense side, and it's a little trickier, we do either require a freedom to operate opinion or we do our own analysis. But we do charge up front for that. But we also recognize it's an upfront charge. And so we credit that to the premium at the time of binding. So two ways. Either you have done the opinion letter and they're willing to share that. And it is, we put it under NDA because we have mutual common interest. Historically, there has been precedence in the court system to favor that because we are insuring that risk. So everything is held, confidentially. And we're able to write insurance using that to place terms. But if they don't feel comfortable doing that or they don't have one, we do our own analysis. But as I said, we don't do legal opinions. So it's purely for insurability risk.
Sure.
And we will credit that upfront amount to the premium because we recognize it is an upfront burden.
Great.
That's cool. So much stuff. So Matt, so people can get a hold of you and chat with you at no initial fee, just to explore the options. Is that right?
That's absolutely true. We're happy to do free first brush analysis from an insurability side. Happy to run it by my underwriters to see what they think of the risk. And conversation doesn't hurt. As you said, it's free.
Awesome. Very, very good. Well, thank you so much for being on our show, Matt. It's been an honor. We're going to have you back, I think, with some more questions we have down the road. And we're going to go and wrap up. I'm going to have to share this with our community as well. That is just getting started. We have inventors that have gotten patent pending. And I, again, forgotten to bring this up. I think it's going to be a huge opportunity for them to get an early advantage should they have infringement occur. So thanks again for coming on.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen. And I look forward very much to future opportunities with you too.
Thanks, man.
Everybody, have a good day. Go big, go bold.